Brian has brought up in recent weeks the idea that some of their road struggles, he believes, have to do with communication along the offensive line and that cadence that we've become so familiar with. Here we go. Why did he say that? That whole thing has become just a meme on the internet, essentially. But a lot of people, I feel like, view the cadence as like if you haven't spent a lot of time studying the game or anything else, you may view the cadence as similar to the starting gun of a race or something. Where just like that should just be the basically the go signal. How is it that it would cause this many problems if everybody's, it's not like you got a bunch of false starts. So what would the cadence have to do with that? So we were doing Cowboys crosstalk, myself, Kevin Hagelin. We had Dave Campo and Nate Newton on Wednesday night. It aired here on 105.3 The Fan at 7 o'clock. It was also on DallasCowboys.com. And I wanted to ask Nate specifically about this idea that Brian had brought up. And we talked to John Machota. Machota thought it was we were onto something there. McCarthy told us last hour that, communication is a big part of the road issues. So I wanted to ask Nate specifically about cadence, about how that getting impacted on the road could cause problems for the team. And he gave a really good, detailed answer about his experience with cadence on the road as a player and what the purpose of the cadence is and how it can impact things. So this is a longer clip, but I think it's really important to listen to what Nate Newton had to say.
We used to get out of the huddle fast. That didn't mean because we got out of the huddle fast, we was going to run a play fast. A lot of times you want to give your quarterback a chance to survey. More importantly, you want to give your center a chance to see the 5 guys that we're going to take. Normally the 4 down guys and the 1 linebacker. Or if they're running a 3-4, the 6 guys, because when then Moose would be involved. So the coach, and that would give us, defensive offensive lineman, a chance, our center, for stepping out to say, okay, we got 55 to 33. And the quarterback, okay, they got 55 to 33. So that alert the wide receiver out there that if this 33 come along with 55, it's a hot route. You break this thing off right now. So now, but the quarterback may change the play. Boom, boom, boom. He may flip it all the way to the other side. So now we're looking at 55 still, but now we got 26 over here. This receiver got to be alerted to it. This tight end. Now, because we moved the power, this tight end got to be alerted to it. Clock get down about 12. Ready. Here we go. Play is in lock. It's locked now. We're not going to change it. And now you asking a lot from your offensive line, and you're asking a lot from your receivers. And when it's loud, something can be lost in communications. But the reason I wanted Coach to go, because what Jimmy did, when we go to New Orleans, we stop with all this ready.
Yes.
We get our best 5 running plays with 2 variations off our best 5 running plays. Now, a lot of our receiving stuff stayed in place because we wasn't a West Coast offense. So what we called in the huddle, we could adjust to anything on the field. When we used to have a loud, like New Orleans, Seattle, even when you go on to play the Steelers, if we had to hold hands.
Yeah. Right.
If we had to let our center say green, and then we'll all go 1,001, 1,002. We all move together. We practice this.
So that's a longer clip, but I think it was really important to kind of hear. You hear him describing there that when they've got the cadence and they're calling things out and that they're identifying, hey, from this defensive player right here, this number here, we're pointing out this number to this number, we've got this, okay? And so the receivers then know due to the cadence, okay, all right, if I see this guy go, if this number here, that's somebody the offensive line is supposed to have. So if this guy goes, I got to break this off. If this is somebody coming on a blitz, I've got to break this off, and we've got to respond to that. If the quarterback is flipping the play and all of a sudden it changes who you're supposed to take or what the receiver's supposed to do on a hot route or whatever else, it starts to stress things. So if you're missing those things within the cadence, it causes for things like you saw where Bradley Chubb runs free. Or CeeDee Lamb is running one way and a ball goes another way. And so
there's a reason you don't style point road wins.
That's why? You think that it's something where that impact right there?
I mean, that's one of them. You don't I don't ever style point a road win. You get a win in the road, I don't care if it's by 1 point or 30. Dude, just survive it. Survive the game on the road and move on to the next week.
Yeah, and I think it was the more you go back and watch some of the stuff that they've had difficulties with on the road, because you remember we're talking about details and little things, stuff that they miss. It makes sense if you put it in the context of stuff is getting lost in the communication at the line of scrimmage. Guys are not understanding what's being changed here. I mean, he's talking about really wild concepts of the idea of, he says they're literally in New Orleans when it's loud. Back when Jimmy was here, he said they would literally, like he explained there, hold hands. Like the guard and tackle were holding hands. And that when you would get a call from the center, a certain code word or someone would come from Aikman, then you would, in their heads, they would all have to count 1001, 1002, and then they'd go back. Like that was the sort of stuff they would have to do to adjust on the road in loud environments. And it sounds like, at least Nate Newton feels like, and I know Nate expanded a little bit more, talked about, he thinks they're missing those details. He thinks they're not doing enough to adjust to cadence and communication issues that are presented naturally on the road.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to do. I can't disagree with what Nate's saying. But again, like, road wins are tough, dude. Like they're difficult. You are a all-time team when you go on the road and just handle teams.
It's frustrating.
Now, I'm not talking about like going on the road and beat the Giants 40-0. Like that game got away from New York for one, and the Giants aren't very good anyway. I mean, like, if they went on the road, and I think they're probably like better than Miami. But let's just say this Detroit game was on the road.
Mm-hmm.
If they went on the road and beat Detroit by like double digits, I'm like, okay, that's a handle you game. That's much more impressive to me than beating the Giants 40-0. Like, the Giants aren't very good.
Yeah, I get that, but man, they've got to. If this genuinely comes down to little communication that just has not been cleaned up 17 weeks into the season, that's a problem. Like that, not just a problem. Like, obviously that's an active problem, but that's a problem of, at least to me, do we feel like that's negligence to any extent?
Okay, so for somebody who never played in the NFL, which exclusive, I did not play in the NFL.
I did. You can ask me.
All right. And I hate to do it, but do other teams have the same problem? And we don't follow the teams as close as the Cowboys.
I think teams definitely have problems on the road.
Yeah, with communication.
Yes,
and that's so. I don't think it's negligent.
I think teams have problems on the road. I don't think teams have the disparity that Dallas does.
Do they have disparity on the road because they're bad on the road, or because they're that great at home? Like, what is it? Is like so the Cowboys average what, 21 points a game on the road, 22 on the road.
Their point differential at home versus on the road is a 177 point gap.
No, I understand that. Okay, but what I'm saying is, like, are they worse on the road than like the other 31 teams in the league? Or are they that much better at home than the other 31 teams?
They're worse on the road than the other contenders are. Not relative to the rest of the league, probably. The rest of the league, they're probably about similar. But if you take the top playoff teams, like the top 10 teams over the last couple of years, they are one of the worst road teams.
From a record standpoint or points per game?
Both.
All right, yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Because
you know what I mean? Like it could be like that. We make them look like they're worse on the road because they're so good at home.
Well, who are the two best teams in the NFL right now?
Well, Baltimore and San Francisco, but bad examples.
But I'm just saying, San Francisco goes to Philadelphia, beats them 42-17 on the road.
Yeah.
Baltimore goes into San Francisco, clobbers them, puts up over 30. And so I think that those teams have shown we can step into hard environments and we can do it. And those are two really well-respected coaches in Harbaugh and Shanahan.
Yeah. No, that's true. You're not wrong. Not at all.
And I don't know. A lot of it probably comes down to, look, they've had issues with getting consistency along their offensive line in terms of getting the right guys together, but they've had that group in place essentially since week 6. Week 5, actually, was the San Francisco game was the first one. So they've had that group together, and if that communication's bad, if the ability to communicate your cadences is not effective on the road, that sounds like something that should have been drilled down on deeper, that should have been addressed in a deeper fashion earlier in the season. And here's my thing. If that's the case, if that's the excuse, or not the excuse, because there's a difference between excuses and explanations. If that's the explanation, Chop, can that be fixed in the next month before you have to go on a road run?
Look, I would think that if you haven't fixed your communication by December, it's probably not getting fixed.
So have they essentially damned themselves at this point?
No. Yes. How many home games they get? That's the question. Like,
probably zero. To be honest, probably zero. That's probably what you're looking at right now.
Because like, let's if they make the Super Bowl, that's a neutral environment. They could do their cadence at the Super Bowl.
I would guess at the Super Bowl they're going to have a majority crowd, no matter who they face.
Probably. Now, if they face like if they face Cleveland, who's never been in it, maybe not. Right? Like maybe not, because you might have every Browns fan in the world. They've been saving up. They've been saving up their money for 55 years.
Right.
So you maybe not, but like for the most part, yeah. But even still, even if they didn't have a majority crowd, I think they still would be able to do their cadence because it's such a neutral environment. I mean, they were able to do it in the fourth quarter against Miami. Were they not? I mean, they did.
Yeah, because they had. I mean, Miami's not this huge advantage, like as a home environment.
Right.
Miami plays well there, but that crowd has not been a huge advantage.
Correct. All right, so that's a little Nate Newton audio here.
Good explanation, I think, of something that gets talked about a lot and something that we've pointed to, and just I don't know that the average fan has a great understanding of it. I thought, just for myself, I think I learned something there. I know Hagee had said afterwards that he was glad Nate took as much time talking about his dick because it helped him learn something. So hopefully you guys learned something there at home.